Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. My name is Tanya. If you're not familiar with my channel, you can find me on Instagram as Volver Vintage. I sell part-time over on Poshmark, eBay, Etsy. I also have an antique booth, and one of my favorite things to do is vend at pop-up shops, pop-up events like vintage sales, also flea markets, those type of pop-up shops. So if you have never vended at an event before, I'm here to give you a few tips on what to do, what items you might need, and what to expect when you're vending live at a pop-up shop. So if you're interested in this video, go ahead and give me a thumbs up, like, subscribe, and stay tuned. So here is the final space. I have a table with some purses. I always try and have a $5 bin just to clear out items quickly, and stuff always sells out of the $5 bin. So always bring like a liquidation box or something that for quick little sales. I have this 4-way rack, a good place to find good quality industrial racks are going out of business sales. So I got this really good rack. It has wheels for $15. This was another rack that I got from a business that was going out of closing down, a liquidation sale. I've had this rack forever. So I have 2 racks. This is my friend's sale rack, and this is actually her pop-up tent. So here we have other vendors. This is my friend's shop, Debutante, and she's hosting 2 artists, 2 Skid Row artists who have some pieces for sale. So hopefully it's a good turnout. I actually already had a sale from my $5 bin. Somebody took 2 items, so yay, another artist. Okay, so some of the footage that I'm showing you is from an event that I did. I did the Pomona Art Walk. My friend invited me to vend. So for that event, I didn't have to pay a vendor's fee, but for most events, likely there's going to be a fee associated with vending, and that all depends on the spaces available. Most spaces are going to be a 10 by 10 space. So it just depends on the popularity of the event, like how big the event is. But for most sales, I haven't had to pay vending fees. The most I've had to pay was $85 for things, markets like, I think Golden Years Market, I did have to pay. I'm not sure if it was $85, but the fees change, so don't quote me on pricing. You have to find out the vending fees on your own. Sometimes you do have to submit an application, and it's pretty much just easy, like contact information and things like that. Sometimes you may have to submit what types of items you're vending, but don't be nervous or afraid to apply. Just apply, just do it. Apply for the event, and if you hear back from them, and also don't get offended if you don't hear back from them. They might be overwhelmed with vendors. So just keep trying again and again, and don't give up, and just go out there and do it. So let's talk supplies. So for outdoor vending, it's very important to know the time of day that you're gonna vend. Is it an all-day event? Is it a morning event? Or is it an evening event? Because those supplies are gonna be necessary. You also have to check the weather. Is it gonna be sunny? Is it gonna rain? Obviously, if it's gonna rain, your event might be canceled. So you have to be aware of those types of circumstances. So I obviously would recommend a 10 by 10 pop-up tent, and you want to invest in a quality pop-up tent because you can go on Amazon and you can find like cheapy little 10 by 10 tents. So I would recommend an Easy Up pop-up tent. It's literally the letter EZ up. Those are just more quality, durable pop-up tents. And I would recommend that you add weights to your tent. There you can literally do your own weights, like literally add a weight or add like a little sandbag to it so it won't move, especially if it's gonna be more windy. Pop-up tents can fly and it can really be distracting, so weigh it down. Also, are you gonna need obviously racks, and I would recommend mobile racks, so racks that have wheels on them, because it just makes it easier. I would not tell you how many times it's been so easy for me to just throw all my items and literally wheel my rack to my car and unload it into my cart. So anything that has wheels, I would definitely recommend. Even try and design what kind of pop-up you're going to want to have. Like, are you going to want to have a lot of mannequins? And obviously take into consideration what you are using to move all of these items. Do you have a car? Do you have a truck? Do you have, you know, an SUV? Because I have a little Corolla, so I always have to take into consideration what actually fits in my car. So yes, I would like to have mannequins, I would like to have multiple tables, but I just don't have the means to move all of that. So I take the bare minimum, which is my tent, my rack, and a table. And sometimes, you know, if I feel I can fit in another item, I'll fit in a chair for me to sit on, because you know, sometimes events are like 10-hour events, or they're literally all day events. You're gonna want to sit down eventually. Also consider, you know, what color scheme, maybe tablecloths that match, or maybe curtains, I don't know. You definitely want to create a space that sets you apart from the rest. So just something to take into consideration. So one thing that I like to tell everyone is to know the crowd. Know the crowd of the event that you're doing. If you're vending at a Dia de los Muertos event, obviously the crowd is gonna want Dia de los Muertos items. So for example, you need to bring items that cater to that crowd. If you're vending at, you know, I've done yard sales, people want yard sale prices, so bring items that cater to yard sale prices. I've done exclusive vintage events, so people want vintage. They don't want, you know, secondhand made items. They don't want designer items. They want true vintage pieces. There are Hawaiian markets, so people want exclusive Hawaiian items, so Hawaiian dresses, tiki style events, things like that. So when I say know the crowd, or maybe you know what type of people, like if you're doing the Melrose Outpost, you know, like maybe people go there looking for t-shirts, so you're gonna want to take your t-shirts. And if you don't know the crowd, then that's fine as well, but bring in a variety of items and bring in a variety of price points, and you'll quickly figure out what kind of crowd shops there. So another tip from me to you would be to tag your items. And you don't have to have like really fancy hang tags or anything. Like you can literally use post-its or like little pieces of papers, but pricing your items really makes it easier for the buyer. Just think of yourself as a customer. I hate having to ask a million questions, having to constantly ask like, how much is this, how much is this, how much is that, how much is this, you know. If your item sees, if your buyers, your customers see items tagged, it's easier for them to just make a decision of if it fits their budget, or even you know, starts off a bartering point. So also be aware that you are going to run into people that are going to want to talk you down to a lower price. So if they see something marked for 30, they might say, hey, would you take 20? You know, that's just going to happen regardless. So be prepared for that as well. So these are some examples of price tags. I got these at Target, so even like a simple sticker helps. So definitely price your items. Let's see. Another tip I have is to have a sales section. So I always bring in my regular priced items, but I have either a sale rack or a sale bin. I'll have like a $5 bin or something like that. So sale racks and sale pieces are quick sales, especially I noticed that a lot of like yard sales and like flea markets, people want like cheap items. Like some of my best sellers are always the sales items for some reason, and that's another reason why I like doing live vending events, because it's quick. It's a quick way to push inventory out of the doorway. Another tip would be to carry change. So another reason that I love doing pop-up shops is cash. I love making quick cash. So that means that you have to be prepared. Bring a fanny pack. I love my little fanny pack, and bring some change with you. So what I like to do is pull out $100 in cash and bring in, have some 20s, have some 10s, have some 5s, and have some 1s ready, because a lot of people still deal with cash. Another tip, if you are going to set up electronic payments, which you should accept all forms of payment, but be prepared and have your app set up ahead of time. So have whatever you're going to take. If you're going to take Cash App, if you're going to take Venmo, Zelle, whatever, make sure that your profiles are set up ahead of time. Don't do it there, because don't wait until somebody asks you, do you accept Zelle, to be like, oh, let me set up my profile. Like, people are not going to want to wait. Like, have your methods of payment ready and set up, and bring extra chargers, bring extra battery packs for you to have constantly keep charging your phone, because you're probably going to be on your phone all day. So bring in some extra chargers or an extra battery for you to have a full charge. Okay, and another tip is lighting. Have some good lighting. If you're vending during the day, then obviously natural sunlight is going to be your best friend. But once you go into the evening hours, or like, for example, I just vended in the fall, you lose the light earlier. So about 5 p.m. the light goes dark. And if you're vending till 6 p.m., 7 p.m., 8 p.m., you're going to need lighting. So bring some lamps. Obviously, are you going to have an electrical outlet available? If not, then you're going to need a generator or some sort of like USB battery to source to light up your space. So think about that, some lighting. And then another tip would be to meet people, interact with your buyers. Don't be shy. Ask them how they heard about you, and maybe even have a sign-up sheet, or ask them to follow you on Instagram. Give them a card, have business cards available, and follow up with them. If they buy something, ask them to tag you when they wear it, and then that's just an easy form of marketing. If they actually tag you, then repost them. I've had a lot of that happen, where they'll buy something and they'll immediately post it on their Instagram stories, like, I found this at Volver Vintage, or thank you so much, and then I just immediately repost it, and that's just free content for you to repost and market or promote yourselves. And then finally, I want to say, build community. Meet with other vendors, introduce yourself, create community, because you will not believe how many opportunities I have found from meeting with other vendors. So never think of other vendors as your competition. Think of them as an asset. They're part of your community. I think especially in the vintage market, it's very easy to feel intimidated, because you might think like, oh, they have better stuff, or they have a larger following. But think about this. No two vintage vendors are ever going to have the exact same inventory. Even if you're vending from the same decades, like, you could have more skirts and she could have more dresses, and your buyer could find a great top with you, but could find a great skirt with another vendor. So I think that's what I love about the vintage market, is that, especially as a vintage collector and a person who wears vintage, you have to source through many vendors to find your perfect outfit. Definitely just go out there, have fun, and experience it for your own. So thank you guys so much for watching this video. I hope you learned something, and I hope that I was able to maybe clarify something for you. If you have any questions for me, go ahead and leave them down below, and stay tuned for next week's video. I'm back. I have about 3 weeks worth of videos lined up and ready to go, so go ahead and subscribe if you like this content, and I'll see you guys next Monday. Thanks. Bye.